WeFirst is a brand consultancy that helps companies tell the story of their good work in ways that build their business. So there's a marriage of purpose and profit. The challenge for brands is that you really have to scale intimacy. And we've all got 1, 2, maybe 3 relationships in our own lives, and that's hard enough to manage, let alone tens, hundreds, thousands, and that's what brands face these days. Secondly, there's a shift where brands need to get off themselves onto the person they're talking to. And we like to think of that in terms of, you need to shift from being the chief celebrity to the chief celebrant of your customer community. And then if you really want to resonate with media-savvy, well-informed consumers who are very aware of the compounding social crises that we all face, and they're looking at brands and saying, are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? You really need to recognize that as a company, you need to communicate on the basis of being a mission with a company rather than a company with a mission. When you look at the first blog post that Elon Musk did on the Tesla site, he talked about Tesla's commitment to, develop sustainable mass transportation. And as a function of that, he opened up the company's IP, the intellectual property around their batteries. As a function of that, he launched an infinity mile warranty. As a function of that, a partnership with BMW and Nissan. As a function of that, he is, facilitating the proliferation of charging stations all around the country because his mission is to create sustainable mass transportation. So doing all those things and starting a car company was in the service of that mission. In the same way you look in the B2B world, you've got Smarter Planet. There's a very complex business called IBM that has distilled its whole sort of messaging platform down to Smarter Planet, which allows us to talk in terms of smarter cities, smarter energy meters, smarter transport. But again, it's all laddering up to a larger proposition, which is grounded in how are they making a difference in the world that's going to make them relevant and meaningful to consumers. When there was a lack of information, knowledge, the need for knowledge, drove innovation. Now we're overwhelmed by information, and even more so as the human API and the internet of everything and everywhere and the data deluge that's coming, there's going to be more information than we ever know what to do with. And sadly, that presents us with the same problem as a consumer in the sense that we have too much information that everything is meaningless. And so what really, brands need to do in order to connect with consumers is really demonstrate authenticity, accountability, transparency so that they bring with them a sense of certainty. They become a sort of tent pole or a marker or a North Star in the marketplace. And I genuinely believe that those brands that will lead the future will be those that have the greatest social impact. There's a huge misconception out there that we need to back out of this data, that we need to develop meaningful insights from this data deluge on a daily basis, and marketers are wrestling with how to make sense of it. When in reality, the last time I checked, we are all still flesh and blood human beings sitting around a campfire telling stories. Because if you can't facilitate that emotional connection with a brand, no one's going to care about what channel it's delivered on. And so too often now, I think marketers are letting the tail wag the dog. They're trying to back out of data instead of let the story they tell facilitate that emotional connection, and then let these new media channels get that out there and develop insights from that data, but in that order. And so I think, as technology develops exponentially, and so does data, and sort of, the Internet of Things and the Internet of Everything will dwarf PCs, smartphones, and all these good things. We can't lose sight of the fact that it's storytelling that ultimately drives the connection between people that is now being facilitated by technology.